How's it going? One, this is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This was once again directed by George Miller, who has directed five of these Mad Max movies already and stars Anya Taylor Joy and Chris Hemsworth. And in this movie, we explore the origins of the character Furiosa, who was introduced in the last Mad Max movie, Mad Max Fury Road, how she was separated from her home, thrown into the Citadel, the things she had to do to survive, and how she eventually gets her revenge on the one who took her from her home. So, when it comes to these Mad Max movies, I first watched the first Mad Max at the age of 19. It was during my first year of college, and the movie caught me by surprise. And at a time when I had watched many R rated movies, including R rated action movies, Mad Max felt like a different kind. I like this dystopian punk rock, like full on violent action movie that also had some themes that is not going to gel with everyone that are unsettling. And then Mad Max The Road Warrior, I watched that movie and I immediately fell in love with that movie. I enjoyed it. I realized they were quick action movies to come out. Beyond Thunderdome, never been a huge fan of it. Rarely rewatch it. Fury Road, though, I had watched. I think it was around the time right after I turned 20. It was a year after it had come out in theaters, and that movie was just bonkers incredible. The special effects, the action, the tone, the tempo. It just worked so well, and it became one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's one of my favorite movies, definitely in the last 10 years. And to me, that is peak action cinema right there. So I always wonder, what can you do with the next Mad Max movie? Well, George Miller decides we're going to do a Furiosa prequel. And I'm very curious. I never thought we didn't need it because the origins of Furiosa sound very interesting, and it's been something that's been talked about for a while. And so the trailers looked incredible. Anya Taylor Joy looked incredible in the trailers because Charlie Theron gave an incredible performance in Fury Road. And so saw the movie yesterday, and the movie met all my expectations. This is another incredible movie in the Mad Max franchise. It's one of the best movies of this year so far and follows the trend of Mad Max movies where bonkers things happen in a dystopian post apocalyptic society, but also has its own unique flavor. It's not Fury Road 2.0 because sometimes when you have a fantastic movie in the franchise, you want to keep what made that movie fantastic. And yes, you have the cars, motorcycles, insane trucks, insane looking vehicles driving in a post apocalyptic wasteland. You got the crazy violent action happening. You got the crazy looking characters, crazy, the over the top villain that's still well portrayed, but it also feels different from the other Mad Max movies. The first thing being how long this movie is. This is a 2.5 hour movie where the first two Mad Max movies were around 90 minutes, which is an hour and a half. Thunderdome, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was less than 2 hours. And then Fury Road was around 2 hours. So these movies are usually between an hour and a half and 2 hours. But yet, this movie, despite being 2.5 hours long, would never felt real long and never dragged on. In fact, this is probably, in my opinion, the best paced movie that I've seen in a year, or one of the best paced movies in a year. Because it hasn't, because I would say Oppenheimer is still the best paced movie because that's a 3 hour long movie that was well paced. But this is definitely the best paced movie of 2023 so far when it comes to pacing. This movie takes its time in telling its story. It never rushes, it never drags on. It does so well. Now, that might not work for everyone because the first act of the movie focuses on Furiosa as a child and how she eventually landed up in the hands of Immortan Joe. In fact, the first act, she's not portrayed by Anya Taylor Joy. She's portrayed by, and sorry if I mispronounced his name, Alea Brown. I'm pretty sure the name was. And by the way, the young actress did an incredible job portraying Furiosa as a child. But it helps establish why Furiosa would later hate the villain Dementius, how she landed up in the Citadel, and the things that she saw from Immortan Joe that could help set up the thing, the reasons why she hates him in Fury Road. I will say though, that is my one thing I would have changed in the movie: more interactions between Furiosa and Morton Joe, just to help set that up a bit better in Fury Road. But that's like my one nitpick of the movie. But back to the performances. Anya Taylor Joy as Furiosa, incredible. She doesn't have that many lines of dialogue, kind of similar to Mad Max's minimum dialogue in Fury Road, but it's Anya Taylor Joy's facial expressions that capture the anger, rage, and sometimes even fear and other emotions that Furiosa feels in certain moments of the movie. Her eyes, especially when she has a face covering on, captures that anger and resentment towards Chris Hemsworth's Dementis. And Chris Hemsworth was just bonkers good in this movie. This is his best performance. He was incredible. And I know people might say he feels like another over the top villain in this franchise, but the over the top villains always work in this franchise, like Lord Humongous in Road Warrior. But he also feels different because he's not 100% respected by his followers, similar to Immortan Joe and Lord Humongous. In fact, there's quite a few moments where he seems like he's being a bit disrespected, and he has a tragic backstory to him that helps explain his motivations and why he's doing the things that he is doing. But back to what makes Furiosa so unique compared to the other Mad Max movies. It's also split up into chapters in this movie, and each chapter captures what it's supposed to capture very well in regards to a certain moment in Furiosa's life. And one thing I will say that feels similar to a previous Mad Max movie, and I like that they did it, is this feels similar to the first Mad Max movie from 1979, where there is a revenge story and it's a personal story for the main character. In this case, it's Furiosa. The difference is that this movie takes a lot more time and builds up that revenge story a lot better than the first Mad Max movie. Now, I still like the first Mad Max movie, but Furiosa just handles things way better because, as I said before, the first Mad Max movie is around 90 minutes long. So sometimes certain things just feel a bit rushed in that movie. Um, the action, once again, incredible and bonkers. The stunt work is always incredible. Another fantastic action movie up there with the action of Fury Road. One thing I will say is that the special effects, while they're still great and a lot better than a lot of the special effects from movies today, even from previous years, feels like it took half a step back from Fury Road. Fury Road had perfect, phenomenal special effects, and I got to review Fury Road one day on this channel as well as the other Mad Max movies. But back to Furiosa. While the special effects were great, there were a couple of moments where the special effects were a bit glaring. Well, like completely glaring where it took me out of the movie, but it was like not quite up there with Fury Road. And I get it, that wasn't the intention to make a movie as perfect as Fury Road. It's hard to make a movie that amazing, but that's one thing that might be glaring to some people. Back to the action, similar to other Mad Max movies, the action can be brutal and may not be for all audiences. So, fair warning, the action is similar to the previous Mad Max movies, very brutal, quite bloody. There's some moments that could be hard to watch. Stunt work incredible as always. Anyway, some of the things that they're doing on these vehicles is just incredible and crazy. But yeah, George Miller, who's in his late 70s, he directs these sequences so well. The sound design, particularly the sound design with the vehicles, is perfect. Just fantastic work that they did. And the score, once again, fantastic. This movie does a lot of things so well. I think the only things I kind of took issue with it, besides the few special effects not being quite up to par, I just wish there were a few more character moments that would show Furiosa and setting up Furiosa's eventual turn on Immortan Joe, because it feels like a lot of the resentment happens when Furiosa is a child. You don't really see that resentment with Furiosa as an adult towards Immortan Joe. And I get it because you're focusing on the main antagonist of the villain, which is Dementis. But maybe after Dementis is killed, maybe show like a scene or two where Furiosa is reminded why she hates Morton Joe as well. But overall, Furiosa is just an incredible movie with incredible performances, incredible action, visually stunning, terrific cinematography. I don't know what it is about the cinematography with movies taking place in deserts or wastelands. Doom Part 2, which is still my favorite movie of the year, had terrific cinematography. This movie, same thing. Just another great movie. And it's a movie you have to see in the theaters. It's not doing so well in the box office so far, but you got to see it in theaters. The action, the visuals, it's meant to be seen on a big screen. Go see it in theaters. I'm going to give Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, an A. This is one of the best action movies to come out in the last few years. In fact, one of the best action movies to come out in the last 10 years. As far as where it ranks in my favorite Mad Max movies, Fury Road is still up here. Furiosa and Road Warrior are kind of neck and neck at the moment. I know Road Warrior, even though it's like another 90-minute movie, it's still an incredible movie. Gotta go back and rewatch it though; it's been quite a while. Then the first Mad Max, and then Beyond Thunderdome. That's the only one I really don't care about with the Mad Max movies. But yeah, that's my sort of ranking for the Mad Max movies. But yeah, what'd you think of Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga? Have you seen it? What'd you think about it? And what's your favorite Mad Max movie? And what's your favorite prequel movie? My favorite prequel movie is still probably Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I grew up on that movie. It's a movie I rewatched many times. So I would say that's probably my favorite prequel movie. Not the best prequel movie, but my personal favorite. But yeah, let me know what your favorite prequel movie is down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that likes the Mad Max movies. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.